Hey everybody, one that always bored, never boring. Well, it's that time of year again. Time to roll out something spooky for the channel in celebration of Halloween. I'm spoiled for choice really, with plenty of creepy games filling my shelves, including some new titles I haven't had the chance to showcase yet. But there's one game that I've had for some time now that I've never talked about in great depth, and that is the classic Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, published by Games Workshop in 1988. This is a beautifully presented game by Stephen Hand, who also created Fury of Dracula and Chainsaw Warrior, and I'd definitely be lying if I said the main reason I owned this game wasn't because it's so bloody gorgeous. It has metal citadel miniatures, stunning card art by Gary Chalk, and a magnificent 3D pyramid board that gives the game a nice table presence. But that's not to say it isn't a fun game though. It's from the same line of bookshelf games as Talisman and Dungeon Quest and shares some similarities with both. But while I wouldn't say it's as good as either of those titles, let's be honest, nothing is as good as Dungeon Quest, it is a very interesting game with some strange game mechanisms that can make for memorable gaming sessions. But with that preamble out of the way, let's take a closer look at the rules. They are incredibly simple, making this a really nice pick up and play experience. The aim of the game is simple too. You need to get your character into the Chamber of Osiris at the top of the pyramid while avoiding the mummy to find the elixir of life. To get started, each player selects a character piece and places it on one of the starting spaces in the corners of the ground floor of the pyramid. They also take the corresponding character card. Characters don't have special abilities in this game, but they do have different attributes, which you mark on the character sheet using little cones. Each character also starts with 4 lives. Next, you deal 5 playing cards to each player. These cards contain a mix of movement cards that players will use to navigate the pyramid, and encounter cards that represent hazards to play on opponents or valuable discoveries to play on yourself. Finally, you give each player 6 Tanner leaves. At the start of each turn, there is a bidding phase, where players use their Tanner leaves to vie for control of the mummy. Each player puts a number of Tanner leaves in one hand, and then everyone reveals their bid at the same time. It is possible to bid 0 leaves if you want to. The player who bid the highest number of Tanner leaves controls the mummy, but if there is a tie, nobody controls the mummy this turn. Regardless of the result, all bid Tanner leaves are discarded, so bid with caution. The winner then moves the mummy, either bringing it into play on a pharaoh space if it isn't already on the board, or else moving it orthogonally one space on the same level, or vertically to the space immediately above or below its current space. If the mummy enters a space with a character, it attacks them. The controlling player can either remove 1 life from the character, killing that character and removing them from the game if they are reduced to 0 lives, or else they can force the character to discard one of their cards. After attacking, the mummy is removed from the pyramid. The players will then take it in turns to activate, starting with a randomly selected first player and moving clockwise around the table. Each turn, there are 3 choices available: heal, swap cards, or move. When healing, you simply discard 10 Tanner leaves and recover 1 life. When swapping cards, you set aside all of the cards you want to discard, you add up all the numbers in the bottom right of the cards and take that many Tanner leaves. Then you discard the cards from play and take an equal number of replacement cards from the draw pile. However, most of the time players will be moving their characters using movement cards from their hands. You can play a stair card to move directly up or down 1 level of the pyramid, or you can play a compass card to move 1 space on the same level in one of the directions shown on that card. Note that there is a compass on the Chamber of Osiris space on the top of the board to help you orient yourself. Also note that you are not allowed to move out of the pyramid or into a space containing any other character or the mummy. After selecting a card, you place it in front of you to start a movement stack, and then make the move on the board. Next, in clockwise order, each player has the chance to play another movement card on top of your movement stack. This allows them to move you in the wrong direction, or even play a dead end card on you, which immediately ends your movement and forces you to miss your next turn. The last thing you do is discard all of your movement cards except for the top 2 in the stack. After moving, you look at the space your character is standing in. If there is no number in it, your turn is over. If there is a number, this indicates how many encounters you may face. Encounters are hazards, creatures, or discoveries. Starting with the player on your left, each player is allowed to play 1 encounter card on you as long as the total number of cards hasn't yet exceeded the number on the space and the card they play isn't of the same type as a card already played on you this turn. In other words, you will never face more than 3 encounters and only ever a maximum of 1 of each type. If every other player has played or passed and you still don't have a number of cards in your encounter stack equal to the number on the space, you are allowed to play one of your own cards, and then you start around the table again until nobody has a card to play or the full quota of cards is met. Your opponents will be playing hazards and creatures to hurt you, while you will be playing discovery cards representing beneficial things you have found. Once all the cards are played, you will resolve them in a specific order. First, you resolve hazards, following the instructions on the card and any supplemental instructions in the Mummy's Tome, which is a rules insert that explains cards in more detail. Normally, hazards involve an attribute test where you try to roll equal to or less than one of your attributes on a d12. If you fail the hazard, you discard any other encounter cards played this turn. If you defeat the hazard, or there wasn't a hazard, you will next deal with any creature in the stack. While some creatures have special rules, normally you will have the chance to attack, retreat, or use trickery. To attack, you roll the d12 and add your strength. Another player rolls for the creature, adding the strength value on the creature card. If the creature gets a higher score, you lose a life. If you get a higher score, you defeat the creature. Either way, the creature is discarded and you can then take any discovery card that was in your encounter stack. If your score ties with the creature's score, you are captured. You must discard any discovery cards from the encounter stack, and then the monster is placed by your character card as a reminder. In subsequent turns, you have to make a cunning test, scoring equal to or less than your cunning attribute on a d12 to discard the creature and move as normal. If you fail the test, you are stuck in place and must try again next turn. Instead of attacking, you can attempt to use trickery against the creature. You roll the d12 and add your cunning score, while another player rolls for the monster and adds the cunning score from the creature card. If you tie or the creature wins, then you are captured. If you win by 1 to 3 points, you outwit the creature and can take any discovery cards from the encounter stack. If you win by 4 or more points, you take any discovery card from the stack and take the creature as a decoy. On a future turn, you can send the creature to handle a hazard or creature card for you, discarding the creature and the encounter automatically. Finally, if you don't have a dead end card on the top of your movement stack, you can attempt to retreat. You roll the d12 and add your speed. Another player rolls for the creature. If the creature wins, you are captured. If you win or it's a tie, then you escape. Discard any discovery card from the encounter stack, remove the top card from your movement stack, and move your playing piece back to the previous space you were on. As already mentioned, if you clear out all the encounters, you can claim any discovery card played. These are very helpful, but relatively hard to come by. To win the game, a character must reach a key space on the 3rd level of the pyramid, play a key discovery card, and then defeat any hazards or creatures on that space in order to claim the key. Once you have a key, on your next turn you can automatically move from a key space to the Chamber of Osiris at the top of the pyramid, and then you can attempt to locate the Elixir of Life. You look at your character sheet and identify the 3 characteristics marked with an asterisk. You must test all 3 attributes in any order. If you fail a test, you stop there and you can continue trying next turn from the test you failed. Once all 3 tests have been passed successfully, you win the game. And that's it, except for the inclusion of some incredibly basic solo rules, which remove all the fun bits like bidding for control of the mummy and playing cards on other players, turning the game into a much simpler race for the top of the pyramid, facing randomly drawn encounters while the mummy shambles around getting in the way. It doesn't really work. This is a game that really leans into the idea of players doing everything in their power to throw a spanner in the works for their opponents, and playing solo drains out all the flavour like priests draining out all the brains through a mummy's nose. Huh, now there's a mental image. Anyway, this is a very unusual game. The combination of bidding, elements of dungeon crawling exploration, and heaps of take that card play make it stand out from something like Talisman or Dungeon Quest, because unlike in those games where you are largely at the whims of fate as to what you find, in Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, the hazards you encounter are the ones your opponents play on you, and the treasures you find are the ones you play from your own hand. That really shakes up this style of exploration-based gameplay. The pyramid feels less haphazard and random, your challenges are driven by a malevolent will shaped by your opponents, and you have more control over which items you find, so you can make informed choices about which cards in your hand would be the most beneficial to you at any given time. Gaining control of the mummy is also a lot of fun. There will be times where people are frantically bidding all their Tanner leaves because the mummy is breathing, or more accurately not breathing, right down their necks. And if your opponent seizes control at just the wrong time, you know you are in trouble. Certainly there are some frustrating rules, such as your opponents playing movement cards on you, forcing you to backtrack. Also, miss a turn game mechanisms are very dated and can really suck the excitement and pace out of a game if they happen regularly, while the struggle to obtain a key to the Chamber of Osiris has the potential to go on for almost as long as it took for ancient Egyptians to build the pyramids. But on the whole, there are some really interesting ideas baked into this very simple adventure game. Honestly, I can't see many people rating it as their favourite game ever, and I doubt it would ever see regular table time with any gaming group. But for an occasional blast of paranormal fun, with a group of friends who don't mind winding each other up and causing each other as much in-game distress as possible, this is a nice little addition to a vintage game collection. It's not too hard to find copies on eBay in good condition, and they are not always that expensive. So maybe one worth looking out for. And did I mention, it's absolutely beautiful. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.